Hi, welcome to Willy Wellness's channel. It's Tiana. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a small pet bed. You could make it to whatever size you wish. It's your preference, your pet, you know them, not me. But I'll show you just how to make the bedding anyway. So stick around and I'll show you what you need to do. If you're curious, like, hey Tiana, where the hell did you get all this fabric from? The answer to that is going to be Hobby Lobby. I'm pretty sure a lot of places have them. So good luck. So what you see here right now, my foam was originally 15 by 17 inches. So I wanted to cut into a perfect square. So I did it by 13 by 13 inches. So it's a nice square shape. With the pieces that I cut off, I'm going to use them as the side edges of the pet bed. Next, I line up those future side edges and cut them to the size I wish. When I put that bottom foam piece down, I like to measure about 2 inches completely around the perimeter of it, just to have extra cloth, and you'll see why in a bit. So again, I give myself 2 inches from the edge of each side. I use chalk pencils, a yardstick, and this weird pizza cutter looking fabric cutter. And I'm just stenciling out what I already cut onto the new fabric, so that will be exactly the same size of what I just cut out. This next part is optional. You could pin as close as possible to the foam so the two fabrics are in the place you want it to be when you sew it. Hey, remember in the beginning of the video where I cut those extra pieces of foam for the sides of the bed? Well, I'm going to use them just to stencil out about how much fabric I want to cut. You want to try to cut a little extra fabric so that when you stuff it, there'll be extra room as well as when you sew it together. And you'll see that in a few minutes. In this video, I'm doing the 13 inches long and 6 inches tall. If you have an older pet, you want to probably make it a little shorter. That way it's easier for them to get in and out of the pet bed. I use my pizza cutter yet again. Try to be aware of which direction your pattern is going. In my scenario, I have horizontal and vertical directions on my pattern. In my case, I want them to go vertically. So I want to remember which direction I want the top to be. If you have, for example, a smiley face pattern, you don't want your smiley face to be upside down. We have front and back of the two cloths and the size foams that I want for the edges. So they're all pre-cut, ready to be sewn. Okay, so this is going to be optional, but I pin the tops of the edges. Just when you pin them, just make sure that the side that you want facing out of the edges is on the inside. So you want the insides on the outsides and the outsides on the insides. So fuzzy fleece and what I want showing on the outside are facing each other and pinned. For the bottom cushion, I pinned as close as possible to the cushion. And we're gonna sew this up. Okay, so today we have Baron as our helper. This is Baron. He absolutely adores the sewing machine. So we're just gonna sew this up. Right, Mr. Baron? Great. Isn't that what everybody wants in life? A helper. Okay. So your seams should be very close to the edge and have the 2 inches extra as a flab. So this is the outside portions of the bed, completely sewn on. So the next part, we're going to sew the tops of the sides. So make sure, again, that what you want showing on the outside are on the inside. Okay, so now these edges are sewn, just the top parts. So this is the insides. So you flip it outward to show that this is just the tops. If it's a little uneven, no big deal. You could leave it or trim it if you have OCD or something. It really doesn't matter because it's going to be on the inside. So this next part could get confusing, but trust me, it's not. So you want to flip this to the outside way, right? This is the side you want showing on your cat bed. So you want to leave this here. Let me give you a clean slate here. So you want to leave that. Then what you want to do is get the reverse side or the insides, and you want to put this, let me move that out the way. You want to put this matching its correct side. So I know it looks a little crazy, but it does work. And I know my edges aren't really lined up, so just be conscious of your edges. Again, if you want to cut it to the correct or an even side, you could go ahead and do that. So what you want to do is sew these edges. So you want to line it up and you want to sew along here. Again, you could trim it just to make it clean, but it's gonna be hidden, so keep that in mind. Just try to line it up to the best you can, and we're just sewing one edge. This should be what it looks like when you flip it out. So you have this side and this side completely done. To continue this process, to make the complete border around it, you just repeat the same thing. So you're gonna take the outside part, face it down over the other, and then flip it over. So just ignore this extra piece, and you're just gonna sew this edge. You're gonna sew this edge, and you're gonna do that 2 more times. To connect all 3 pieces, you would need to, what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna sew it on the same way you did before. So I know it sounds a little crazy. So you're gonna flip the last end inside out, just like how the other ones were. And you're gonna slide in, well, make sure this is straight so you don't have it twisted. So you're gonna flip it over it, and you're gonna sew the open. You're gonna sew the open edge here, and this will create it into a box shape. Now this is completely sewn into a square shape. I don't know if you can see. So now it's completely sewn together. And the next thing you're gonna do, you're gonna flip it over. I would suggest turning it inside out. So you want whatever is going to be inside that's soft and cuddly for your pet. You're going to keep it on the outside for now. I know it sounds crazy. So those little foam things, you don't have to do foam. You could do regular stuffing. I just do the foam because it's just easy and it makes the box shape. So saves a little time. So next I want to add stuffing. So I'm going to fill up the insides with some stuffing and we'll be right back. So this is what it should look like. Again, the outside, this is facing out, it's all stuffed in. Next you would want to pin all of this up. So I'm going to grab my pins. And I'll see you back when it's all pinned. This is pinned together. The next step is going to be to sew all of the edges. Alright, so you've sewn up all the edges. This is the bottom part of the pet bed. So all you're going to do is you're going to put this over it, and you want to try to sew these two edges together. When you sew that, I'll show you what to do next. This is all sewn together. It's sewn on all the edges, feel around. Now the final thing you gotta do, you could either cut these just because it's a little excessive, or you could just flip it in. And now you have a finished cat bed or dog bed, whichever. I hope this was helpful, and join us on the next one.